When Karoline Leavitt received the official summons from the Supreme Court, she didn't blink. Most would have crumbled under the weight of such an extraordinary event, but not her. At just 30 years old, Karoline had already become a formidable political force, sharp, fearless, and unapologetically American. Her reputation for challenging the establishment had earned her admiration from millions and resentment from the nation's most powerful institutions. The letter was hand-delivered, formal, direct, a demand to appear before the highest court in the land regarding allegations that Karoline had uncovered sensitive information the government wished to keep buried, a cover-up that implicated multiple federal agencies and even a sitting justice. The morning she was set to appear, America watched with bated breath. Cable news spun endless speculation. Was she in over her head? Would she fold? Would the young political firebrand finally be broken by the old guard? At 9 a.m. sharp, Karoline stepped onto the marble steps of the Supreme Court. Dressed in a simple navy suit, no stylist, no entourage, she looked more like the neighbor next door than the woman at the center of a political firestorm. Cameras flashed wildly. Protesters and supporters clashed outside the barriers. Inside, the atmosphere was tense, almost electric. The Chief Justice, stern-faced and impatient, asked the opening question. A question designed not for clarification, but intimidation. Miss Leavitt, do you understand the consequences of withholding information from this court? Silence fell like a hammer. The other justices leaned forward, some smirking, others stone-faced. Karoline stood still, calm. Then, in a voice steady and slicing through the room like a blade, she answered, I understand the consequences of a court forgetting it answers to the people, not the other way around. The room gasped. The Chief Justice's pen slipped from his hand. Across the bench, murmurs broke protocol. Reporters' fingers flew across keyboards in the gallery. Even seasoned court officials looked at each other in disbelief. Karoline didn't stop there. She produced a flash drive from her pocket, holding it between two fingers, like it weighed nothing at all. The evidence you seek, she said coolly, is right here. But before I hand it over, I will state for the record, this court will be complicit in a national betrayal if it refuses to act transparently. If you silence me, you silence the truth. And the American people are watching. A justice on the far end whispered to another. The Chief Justice looked visibly rattled, something never seen by the public in decades. Within hours, the nation exploded. Karoline's speech, leaked online, went viral. Hashtags like #StandWithCaroline and #JusticeForTruth dominated every social media platform. Some hailed her as a patriot, others called her reckless. But no one, not even the justices themselves, could deny that Karoline Leavitt had changed the rules of the game. Back inside, the court recessed in chaos. Some demanded she be arrested for contempt. Others urged for immediate hearings based on her evidence. Karoline, meanwhile, stood at the center of it all, untouched, unwavering. A storm no one had seen coming. The old America, the America of backroom deals and silent betrayals, had just been struck by a lightning bolt named Karoline Leavitt. And nothing would ever be the same. As news of Karoline's defiance spread, the country seemed to fracture along fresh fault lines. In the streets, thousands marched, some waving flags bearing her face, others denouncing her as a dangerous radical. The media couldn't keep up. Every network scrambled to book constitutional scholars, political insiders, and even Karoline's old classmates, all grasping to explain how a single young woman had sent shockwaves through the entire American legal system. Inside the Supreme Court, panic simmered behind closed doors. The flash drive Karoline held contained damning evidence, leaked memos, secret recordings, financial transactions implicating sitting government officials, and most explosively correspondence that suggested several Supreme Court justices had actively suppressed major cases to protect their political allies. By evening, Karoline received word. The court had called an emergency closed-door session. They wanted to negotiate, quietly, desperately. But Karoline refused. Instead, she went live on national television, unfiltered, unedited. Standing before a podium under the Capitol steps, she addressed the nation. Tonight, I was offered silence. I was offered protection. I was offered a future among the elite. If I would simply betray the American people, she said, her voice clear and steady under the bright lights. I will not. With millions watching, she uploaded the contents of the flash drive to the public domain. Within minutes, Chaos ignited across Washington. D.C. arrest warrants were issued. Emergency resignations flooded in. Whistleblowers stepped forward, inspired by her bravery. But with her rising influence came rising danger. That night, as Karoline returned to her modest apartment under heavy security, a black SUV without plates pulled alongside her convoy. Shots rang out. Her lead car took the bullets. Somehow, she survived, shielded by her security detail, two of whom were wounded but alive. It was clear. Someone powerful wanted her silenced for good. Undeterred, Karoline went underground for a time, protected by a growing network of loyalists, former federal agents, activists, everyday citizens who believed she was the last honest voice in a collapsing system. Weeks later, America faced a reckoning. A special tribunal, the first of its kind since the nation's founding, was formed to investigate the corruption Karoline had exposed. Public trust in the government reached historic lows, but out of the ashes, a new movement was born. One centered on transparency, accountability, and truth. And at the heart of it stood Karoline Leavitt. Years down the line, statues would be erected in her honor. Streets would bear her name. And school children would learn about the young woman who, when faced with the full weight of America's most powerful institutions, refused to kneel and, in doing so, changed the course of a nation. Karoline herself? She never sought office, never sought fame. She disappeared quietly, living a private life somewhere along the coast, watching from a distance, as a freer America struggled but endured. Some say she still walks among us, quiet, watchful, because heroes like her don't vanish. They simply wait until they're needed again.